In a jaw-dropping moment during a live interview, Hollywood icon Keanu Reeves took the world by surprise with his unexpected mention of the new Pope, Robert Prevost. This revelation sent shockwaves through the audience and left viewers wondering, why would Keanu, a well-known actor who has starred in blockbuster films like The Matrix and John Wick, bring up such a significant religious figure in the middle of a casual conversation? The connection between a man of Keanu's caliber and the leader of the Catholic Church was not only unconventional, but also perplexing. What could possibly link the two? A Hollywood superstar and the new head of the Catholic Church? This was something no one saw coming. Keanu Reeves has always been known for his humble demeanor, staying largely out of the media frenzy that typically surrounds major celebrities. Unlike many stars who often flaunt their lives in the spotlight, Keanu keeps his personal beliefs and connections private, letting his work speak for itself. So when the actor began to talk about Pope Robert Prevost, it wasn't just the name-dropping that took everyone by surprise. What followed was something much deeper, an emotional connection that many viewers couldn't have predicted. The interview itself had started as a typical chat between a beloved actor and a host, as Keanu sat down to discuss his latest movie projects and the usual subjects of Hollywood life. He was his usual reserved and thoughtful self, offering a few quick quips about his upcoming roles, but keeping the conversation largely centered on his craft. But then, out of nowhere, the discussion took a sharp turn toward religion. The topic had shifted to the global impact of religious figures and their influence on the world stage, a subject the host was clearly eager to explore with someone who was often looked to for their opinions on life and philosophy. That's when Keanu said, "You know, the world is going through a lot right now. And it's interesting because I recently had a conversation with Pope Robert Prevost. His work, his perspective, and his belief in service to others. He really changed my view on the world." These words stopped the host dead in his tracks, and the entire studio audience went silent, waiting for more. The mention of Pope Prevost seemed out of left field. For those watching at home, this felt like the first truly authentic, vulnerable moment of the interview. Keanu wasn't just discussing his next big project. He was bringing up something deeply personal, something that revealed an entirely new side of him. Why had Keanu, of all people, chosen this moment to speak about the Pope? Why had he decided to introduce such a monumental figure into the conversation? The audience was left with many questions, and each one was brimming with curiosity. What was it about Pope Prevost's vision and message that had such an impact on the actor? Was there a deeper personal connection? Could Keanu, a man of action and adventure in his movie roles, find resonance in the calm, spiritual teachings of a pope? For a moment, the room was filled with uncertainty. Would Keanu continue to delve into this topic? Would he reveal more about his personal beliefs or his relationship with the Pope? Or was this a one-off mention, just a passing comment, that would quickly be brushed aside? Thankfully, Keanu wasn't done. What he shared next would leave the world reeling. As the camera zoomed in on his face, Keanu's expression shifted. His typically calm and stoic demeanor softened, and his eyes became more reflective. He spoke not just as a celebrity or as an actor, but as a person whose life had been changed by the teachings of Pope Prevost. Keanu didn't just mention the Pope in passing, as a celebrity might name-drop for effect. Instead, he shared an experience that was deeply moving, a personal encounter that had shifted the way he viewed the world and the role he could play in it. He didn't just talk about the Pope's influence on global matters or his leadership. Within the Catholic Church, Keanu began to open up about how Pope Prevost had affected his own perspective on faith, kindness, and humanitarian work. Keanu explained that Pope Prevost's teachings were not just about the traditional dogmas of the Church, but about a deep and abiding belief in service to others. He spoke about how the Pope had emphasized the importance of compassion, understanding, and how the most meaningful way to lead was to lift others up, especially the marginalized and the underserved. In an interview with one of the most recognizable actors on the planet, hearing words like service and compassion came as a refreshing shock to many. Keanu's usual role as the action-packed, stoic hero was being replaced by something far more vulnerable and real. At this point, the interviewer leaned in, eager to ask more questions. But Keanu's voice softened, and he continued to speak about a moment that had profoundly changed him. He shared how, over the years, he had met with the Pope a few times, not in a political or media-driven context, but in private, candid conversations. Keanu spoke of Prevost's emphasis on selflessness and his unwavering dedication to humanitarian causes. Keanu described how their conversations about the struggles of people living in poverty, those suffering from war, and the importance of lifting each other up had given him a renewed sense of purpose. This was far more than a simple celebrity interview. It was a profound look into how one person, regardless of their fame or status, could be moved by the teachings of another. Keanu's revelation about Pope Prevost didn't just change the direction of the interview. It changed the way viewers saw Keanu Reeves. The actor had always been known for his down-to-earth personality, but this was a side of him that few had seen before. Here was a man who had spent years building an image as a Hollywood action star, yet in this moment, he shared his own vulnerabilities, admitting that he too had struggled with questions of faith, morality, and the meaning of life. And it was the teachings of Pope Prevost that had helped him find clarity. The audience at home was left in awe, as the contrast between Keanu's Hollywood persona and the depth of his emotional connection to Pope Prevost became clear. Viewers weren't just watching an actor, they were witnessing a human being grappling with universal questions of purpose and how best to live a life of meaning. As the interview continued, Keanu took a breath and explained that, while he did not consider himself particularly religious, in the traditional sense, Pope Prevost's message resonated deeply with him. You don't need to be a devout follower of any religion to understand the power of kindness, the importance of understanding each other, and the need to serve others. That's the message Prevost is bringing to the world, Keanu said. This conversation turned out to be one of the most memorable moments of the interview, leaving both the host and the audience completely mesmerized. What had started as a routine discussion about movies and career quickly became a window into Keanu Reeves's heart and mind, a side of him few had ever seen before. And for those who were watching, Keanu's words would stay with them long after the interview ended, leaving them to reflect on the power of compassion and service in a world that often feels divided. In that one fleeting moment, Keanu Reeves had not only given us insight into his own life, but had also given us a glimpse of something much larger, a reminder that the power to change the world doesn't lie in fame or power, but in the choices we make every day to love, understand, and lift each other up. Before diving into Keanu's comments, it's essential to understand the man at the center of this extraordinary revelation, Pope Robert Prevost. For many, Prevost is a relatively lesser-known figure, especially compared to the previous high-profile popes such as Pope Francis or Pope John Paul II. However, the quiet power of his rise to the papacy and his subsequent actions have made him a transformative figure within the Catholic Church. His appointment as the 267th Pope of the Catholic Church was not just a significant moment in religious history. It was a moment that set the stage for a new chapter in the Vatican's role in the modern world. Pope Prevost's journey to the papacy is extraordinary in many ways, primarily because it came at a time when the world and the Church were grappling with unprecedented challenges. His sudden appointment was a consequence of the unexpected resignation of Pope Francis in 2024, a rare event in the history of the Catholic Church. The resignation of Pope Francis had left many puzzled and speculating about the future of the Church. However, when Prevost was named his successor, it was clear that the Vatican had chosen someone with both a deep commitment to tradition and an openness to modernizing the Church. Prevost, who hails from a humble background, was not born into a life of privilege. His early years were spent in modest circumstances, which shaped the way he viewed the world and its injustices. He often speaks of his upbringing as a key influence on his approach to the Church. Growing up in a small town in the United States, Robert Prevost lived in an environment that was far removed from the Vatican's opulent surroundings. The lessons he learned during his early life shaped his approach to leadership, emphasizing humility, service, and compassion, values that would later define his papacy. Unlike many high-ranking figures in the Church, Prevost's background was not steeped in the typical elite ecclesiastical circles. He was not groomed from a young age to become a cardinal or a high-ranking Vatican official. Instead, he built his reputation through years of dedicated service in the church, working in a variety of roles in missionary and pastoral work across the globe. His work in Africa, Latin America, and Asia brought him face to face with the struggles of the world's poorest and most marginalized populations. These experiences gave him a profound understanding of global poverty, social injustice, and the need for the church to engage with these issues in meaningful ways. As he rose through the ranks of the church, Prevost's reputation as a man of deep intellectual capacity and spiritual wisdom grew. Prevost's theological training is highly respected, and he is known for his vast knowledge of church doctrine and history. He was educated at some of the most prestigious seminaries and universities in the world, earning advanced degrees in theology and philosophy. This academic grounding gives him a unique ability to interpret the scriptures and the teachings of the church in a way that resonates with both traditionalists and those seeking a more progressive approach to faith. Prevost's intellect has earned him the respect of scholars, theologians, and clergy members around the world. Yet, despite his impressive credentials, he remains deeply humble, always acknowledging that his calling to the papacy was not of his own making, but rather a divine appointment. One of the most notable aspects of Pope Prevost's leadership is his calm demeanor. He is often described as a man who exudes a sense of peace, which has made him a reassuring presence during turbulent times. His ability to remain composed and thoughtful, even in the face of difficult decisions, has won him the admiration of many within the church and beyond. His approach to leadership is not one of authoritarian rule, but one of gentle guidance and collaboration. He believes that true leadership comes from listening to others, understanding their concerns, and finding ways to address the collective needs of the church and its followers. Despite his deep respect for church tradition, Pope Prevost has also made it clear that the church must evolve to meet the needs of a rapidly changing world. This has made him a controversial figure for some, as his views on modernization and inclusivity clash with the more conservative elements of the church. However, Prevost has made it clear that his vision for the future of the church is one that embraces both tradition and innovation. He believes that while the church must hold on to its ancient teachings, it must also engage with the modern world in a way that is relevant to today's believers. In his early months as Pope, Prevost has focused on a number of key areas, including social justice, climate change, and the inclusion of women and marginalized groups within the church. His efforts to address the issue of climate change have been particularly well received, as he has called for the church to take a leading role in environmental stewardship. He has also been a strong advocate for the inclusion of women in church leadership roles, stating that the church must better reflect the diversity of its global community. These positions have resonated with many who have long felt that the church was slow to adapt to the changing times. Pope Prevost's commitment to inclusivity is also reflected in his outreach to non-Catholic faiths. He has worked to build bridges between the Catholic Church and other religious communities, emphasizing the importance of interfaith dialogue and mutual understanding. Prevost believes that in order to address the global challenges of today, such as poverty, inequality, and violence, people of all faiths must come together and work toward common solutions. This belief in unity and cooperation has made him a popular figure among religious leaders from all over the world, many of whom see him as a unifying force in a time of division and conflict. But how does Keanu Reeves fit into this picture? It may seem surprising at first that a Hollywood star like Keanu would find such a deep connection with someone as monumental as Pope Prevost. However, the two share more in common than one might initially think. Keanu's personal commitment to humanitarian work and his dedication to helping those in need align perfectly with the values that Pope Prevost advocates. Over the years, Keanu has quietly used his fame to support various charitable causes, ranging from children's hospitals to homelessness and poverty alleviation. His charitable work is often done without fanfare, and he has a reputation for donating large sums of money without seeking publicity. This sense of humility and dedication to service is something that Prevost also embodies, which is why it makes perfect sense that Keanu would have a deep admiration for the Pope. The connection between Keanu and Pope Prevost is more than just a superficial one. It is rooted in shared values. Both men believe in the power of kindness, the importance of selflessness, and the need to help others, regardless of their background or beliefs. This mutual respect for these values is what has drawn Keanu to Prevost's message of service, compassion, and social justice. It is clear that the Hollywood star has been deeply moved by Prevost's approach to leadership and the way in which he is working to modernize the church while staying true to its core values. Ultimately, Pope Robert Prevost's rise to the papacy represents a new era for the Catholic Church, one that seeks to balance tradition with progress, humility with leadership, and faith with action. In Keanu Reeves, we see a reflection of this vision, a person who has not only achieved success in his career, but also strives to make a meaningful impact on the world. Together, these two figures are showing us that true leadership is not about power or fame, but about using one's position to make the world a better place for all. The interview began as any other. Keanu Reeves, the beloved actor known for his roles in iconic films like The Matrix and John Wick, was seated across from the host, discussing his latest projects, his passion for acting, and his personal life. It was the usual media moment, one where Keanu's quiet, humble demeanor set him apart from other celebrities. He was poised, relaxed, and as always, remarkably down to earth. However, when the topic of religion came up, something extraordinary happened. The conversation, which could have easily turned into a light discussion, took a sharp and unexpected turn that left the host, the audience, and viewers at home stunned. Keanu surprised everyone when he began speaking not just about the work of Pope Robert Prevost, but also about his deeply personal connection to him. The mention of a religious figure such as the Pope in the context of Keanu's life seemed incongruous with his usual public persona, which has often centered around his work in the film industry and his dedication to humanitarian causes. But Keanu, ever the enigma, opened up in a way that no one could have anticipated. In a rare and deeply emotional moment, Keanu revealed that he had known Pope Prevost for many years, long before the man became the Pope. This revelation wasn't just a casual mention of a celebrity acquaintance or a name drop for the sake of impressing an audience. Keanu's voice carried the weight of someone speaking about a true and meaningful relationship, one that had profoundly impacted his life. The audience sat in awe as Keanu recounted how their paths crossed in a unique and meaningful way, through a shared commitment to helping marginalized communities around the world. Keanu explained that, despite their differences in position and background, he and Pope Prevost had found common ground in their passion for service to others. According to Keanu, their initial meeting had been in the early stages of their respective humanitarian journeys. Both men, at that point, were already working to alleviate suffering in various parts of the world. Keanu, known for his quiet philanthropy, was already involved in multiple charitable initiatives, including those focused on homelessness, children's hospitals, and education. Prevost, on the other hand, had been deeply committed to his work in pastoral service, focusing much of his efforts on poverty alleviation and social justice within the church's global mission. The connection between the two was born not from fame, but from a shared understanding of what it meant to give back and the importance of kindness and compassion in the world. Keanu spoke about how Prevost's humility was immediately apparent to him. Despite the weight of his responsibilities as a religious leader, Prevost had always conducted himself with remarkable grace and sincerity. According to Keanu, Prevost was the kind of person who didn't just preach kindness, he lived it in everything he did. He described him as someone who embodied the very values of compassion, selflessness, and love for humanity. Prevost is a man who doesn't seek recognition, Keanu explained, his tone reverent and filled with admiration. He doesn't do things for the headlines or for praise. He does them because he believes in helping people. And that, for me, has always been the core of what it means to be truly human. As Keanu spoke, it was clear that his connection with Prevost went beyond just admiration. It was a bond built on mutual respect for the power of love and service. This wasn't just another celebrity dropping names for the sake of making headlines. Keanu's words were sincere and filled with emotion, carrying the weight of someone who had been deeply moved by another's actions. There was no sense of distance or detachment in his voice. Instead, it was evident that the work they had done together had left an indelible mark on him. His own view of the world had shifted because of his relationship with Prevost. Keanu shared how over the years he and the future Pope had worked together on various humanitarian efforts. From charity fundraisers to global missions aimed at improving the lives of those in need, Keanu recalled the many ways in which their paths had crossed. Despite their different backgrounds, one a global movie star and the other a man who had dedicated his life to religious service, their shared goal of helping others had made their bond even more powerful. The most touching part of Keanu's story came when he explained how this personal relationship with Prevost had changed his own perspective on faith and charity. Keanu spoke candidly about how, before meeting Prevost, he had always felt a sense of obligation to give back, but had never truly understood the deeper spiritual significance of service. It wasn't just about donating money or supporting causes. It was about embracing a way of life that prioritizes the well-being of others above all else. Keanu admitted that this was something he had learned from Prevost, the true essence of charity, of selflessness, and the profound impact that one person can have when they commit themselves to helping others. Keanu's admiration for Prevost was not limited to the work they had done together. It extended to the man himself. Prevost's unwavering belief in the power of love and service had become something of a guiding principle for Keanu. It was this understanding that had reshaped Keanu's own approach to life. Keanu spoke about how he had begun to view the act of giving not as a duty or an obligation, but as an expression of one's deep connection to the world around them. To give, he realized, was not just about helping others. It was about enriching one's own soul. This shift in perspective was not just theoretical for Keanu. It had led him to engage in more philanthropic efforts than ever before. Keanu openly admitted that his time spent with Pope Prevost had inspired him to dedicate himself even more fully to humanitarian causes. "I've always believed in helping where I can," Keanu said. "But after getting to know Prevost, I realized there's more I can do. There's always more." He shared that their conversations had led him to explore new ways of giving back, from organizing larger-scale charity events to becoming more involved in the global conversation on poverty, homelessness, and access to education. Keanu credited Prevost with teaching him that true charity was not about recognition. It was about having an impact. "It's about doing what you can to help others and not waiting for a thank you," Keanu explained. "That's the kind of person Pope Prevost is. He doesn't do it for himself, he does it for the world. And that's something I try to live by." This was not just a fleeting moment for Keanu. His connection to Pope Prevost had influenced him deeply, changing not only how he approached charity but how he viewed life itself. Keanu's openness and vulnerability during the interview were a testament to how profoundly he had been impacted by this relationship. His words resonated not just with fans of his films, but with anyone who had ever wondered about the true meaning of service and giving. In a world where celebrity culture often focuses on wealth, fame, and self-promotion, Keanu's willingness to speak openly about his personal connection to a man like Pope Prevost was both refreshing and inspiring. Here was a man who had everything the world could offer: a successful career, fame, wealth. But he chose to focus on something far more meaningful: helping others and learning from those who dedicate their lives to making the world a better place. Keanu's emotional revelation not only gave viewers a rare glimpse into his personal beliefs, but also shed light on the profound impact that human connection and service to others can have. It was a powerful reminder that no matter how famous or successful we become, the most important thing in life is how we treat others and the positive difference we make in the world. What followed next in the interview was even more surprising than what had already been shared. Keanu, a man who has always been private about his personal beliefs and spiritual life, took a bold step by opening up about his views on religion, in a way few could have predicted. Known for keeping his personal life away from the public eye, Keanu has never been one to discuss topics like faith or religion openly. But in this moment, something had shifted, and he chose to share a deeply personal and reflective side of himself that stunned both the interviewer and the audience. In a candid admission, Keanu explained that he had always been fascinated by different religious philosophies throughout his life, but had never fully committed to any one path. His journey through spirituality, he confessed, had been more of an exploration than a firm allegiance to a particular tradition. Keanu, like many, had questioned the nature of belief, wondering about the validity of various faiths, and had explored the rich variety of religious practices and thoughts that exist across the world. Whether it was Buddhism, Christianity, Hinduism, or other world religions, Keanu had always believed that there was something valuable to learn from each belief system. "I've always been interested in exploring different ways that people find meaning in their lives," Keanu shared. "Religion for me was never about choosing a side or locking myself into one way of thinking. It was more about understanding, seeing the beauty in each tradition, and learning what it could teach me about life, kindness, and how we treat each other." This admission came as a revelation to many who had seen Keanu primarily through the lens of his iconic movie roles, movies where his characters were often deeply introspective, yet never openly tied to any one philosophy. His words were a breath of fresh air, particularly in an industry where many celebrities choose to keep their personal beliefs and spiritual practices locked behind closed doors. Keanu's honesty was a reminder that even those who are in the public eye, who seem to have it all together, often struggle with the same questions about life, purpose, and faith that everyone else faces. His decision to share this part of himself made him more relatable to fans, showing them that they weren't alone in their own journey of seeking meaning. However, what truly made this moment stand out was how Keanu connected his spiritual journey to the teachings of Pope Robert Prevost, the new pope he had previously mentioned. Keanu explained that it was Prevost's message of compassion, understanding, and the bridging of gaps between people of all faiths that had made a profound impact on him. As the conversation unfolded, it became clear that this was more than just a fleeting admiration for the Pope's work. It was a deep and transformative moment for Keanu, one that resonated with him on a personal level. Keanu spoke about how, when he first encountered Pope Prevost's ideas, something inside him clicked. The Pope's message of inclusivity, unity, and love transcended religious boundaries in a way that Keanu had never experienced before. "What Prevost says really speaks to me," Keanu admitted. "He believes that at the core of every religion is a call to love and kindness. No matter what path you choose, it's about how we treat each other. That's the message that's really resonating with me." This was not just an abstract statement, it was a personal revelation for Keanu. The more he listened to Pope Prevost's ideas about bridging gaps between different religious communities, the more he began to realize that his own beliefs were aligned with this message of universal compassion. The Pope's vision for the future of the Church was clear, a future where love and kindness were the guiding principles, regardless of the religious path one followed. For Keanu, this was like finding the missing piece of a puzzle he didn't even know he was working on. Keanu went on to share that hearing Pope Prevost's words had clarified something that had always been lingering in the back of his mind. "I've always believed in the importance of love, understanding, and kindness," he said. "But hearing the Pope express it in such a clear and profound way helped me realize that the power to do good in this world doesn't come from any one religion, but from how we treat each other. That's what it's all about." This revelation was more than just a spiritual moment for Keanu. It was a turning point that helped him align his life philosophy with his actions. His approach to religion, like his approach to everything else, had always been thoughtful and reflective, but hearing Pope Prevost's words gave him a sense of clarity that had been elusive before. "It made me realize that the core of every belief system is the same," Keanu said. "It's all about loving one another, showing compassion, and finding ways to lift each other up, regardless of where we come from or what we believe in." This was a perspective that many would find surprising, especially considering the celebrity culture Keanu is a part of. In Hollywood, discussions about religion are often treated with a sense of caution, and many celebrities prefer to keep their Personal beliefs private. The industry's focus on fame, fortune, and individual success often leaves little room for conversations about the deeper, spiritual aspects of life. Keanu, however, broke away from that mold, using his platform to share a message of unity and compassion that transcended the barriers of religion, politics, and fame. Keanu's openness about his spiritual beliefs also offered a refreshing take on what it means to have faith in today's world. His willingness to speak about his personal connection to Pope Prevost and the way in which their shared values of love and kindness had influenced his outlook on life was a rare moment of vulnerability. In an industry that often prizes stoicism and emotional distance, Keanu's sincerity was both refreshing and deeply human. His words were a reminder that faith isn't necessarily about rigid doctrines or rules, but about the universal values that unite people across cultures, races, and religions. Love, kindness, and compassion, these are the tenets that bind humanity together, no matter what belief system we follow. For Keanu, embracing this idea was not just about accepting Pope Prevost's teachings, it was about embodying them in his own life. For many viewers, Keanu's words provided a sense of relief and hope. In a world that often seems divided by religious, political, and cultural differences, his message of unity was a powerful reminder that at the heart of every belief system lies a simple yet profound truth. We are all human, and we are all connected. Whether we are religious or not, the way we treat each other is what truly matters. Keanu's openness about religion and his embrace of Pope Prevost's message also created a ripple effect in the audience. People from all walks of life, whether they were religious or not, began to reflect on their own beliefs and how they could contribute to a more compassionate world. Keanu's example showed that spirituality and goodness don't have to be tied to any one religion or ideology. They are universal values that can be practiced by anyone, anywhere. By the end of the interview, it was clear that Keanu's perspective on faith and religion had evolved significantly, thanks in part to the inspiration he drew from Pope Prevost's teachings. His reflections left viewers with a sense of hope and inspiration, reminding them that despite the challenges and divisions in the world, the most important thing we can do is to treat one another with love, respect, and kindness. And in that, Keanu Reeves had shown us all what true spirituality looks like. Keanu Reeves' comments didn't just leave viewers shocked. They triggered a wave of thoughtfulness, introspection, and a deep emotional reaction from those watching. The sincerity of his words had an undeniable effect on audiences, who were not only taken aback by the vulnerability he displayed, but also moved by the openness with which he shared his personal beliefs. The conversation, which initially seemed like just another celebrity interview, had evolved into something much more profound. Keanu had transformed a casual chat into an exploration of faith, love, and the importance of compassion in today's world, ideas that transcended his celebrity status and resonated with people on a deeply human level. In the days following, the interview's social media platforms erupted with reactions from fans, commentators, and individuals from all walks of life. Keanu's words quickly went viral, with hashtags such as Keanu Reeves, Pope Prevost, and Love and Kindness trending across platforms. The internet was flooded with posts, tweets, and videos expressing admiration for his vulnerability and honesty. Many shared how Keanu's openness had inspired them to reflect on their own lives, their beliefs, and the way they treated others. For many fans, it was a moment of profound connection, not just with Keanu as an actor, but with him as a person. In an era where the gap between public figures and their audiences often feels insurmountable, Keanu's willingness to discuss spirituality, faith, and the importance of compassion made him feel more relatable, more human. His candor made people realize that even those who appear to have everything, fame, wealth, success, still grapple with the same fundamental questions about life, purpose, and meaning. This shared humanity resonated deeply with viewers, especially those who had never considered the idea that a movie star could be so open about his personal beliefs. On platforms like Twitter, many users commented on how rare it was to hear someone so prominent speak with such vulnerability about spirituality and religious philosophies. Keanu just dropped truth bombs, one tweet said. This interview is a reminder that we all need to do more to help others, no matter our background or beliefs. Another comment read, Keanu is the kind of person we need more of in the world. His message of kindness and understanding is what we should all be living by. The outpouring of admiration was palpable, with people from all over the world expressing how much they appreciated Keanu's courage in speaking so openly about his spiritual journey. What made the interview even more impactful was the fact that Keanu used his platform, typically associated with movies and entertainment, to promote a message that transcended the entertainment industry. In a world where celebrities often use their fame to sell products, promote films, or flaunt their lifestyles, Keanu's words represented something entirely different. His message was not about him, it was about humanity. It wasn't about the latest blockbuster or the glitz of Hollywood. It was about life itself, about love, kindness, empathy, and giving back to others. This shift in focus from self-promotion to a higher purpose made Keanu's message all the more powerful. Keanu, in this moment, was reminding his audience of something fundamental, something that, in the hustle and bustle of modern life, can often be overlooked. That at the core of everything, the most important thing we can do as individuals is to be kind to one another. In a time when divisions in society seem to be widening, when political, cultural, and religious divides are deepening, Keanu's message was a balm for many, offering a reminder that no matter our differences, we are all human, and we all have the capacity to treat each other with respect, dignity, and love. This was particularly evident in the reactions of viewers who may not have shared Keanu's exact beliefs or religious views. His words weren't exclusive to any one faith or ideology. They were universal. The idea that kindness transcends religious, cultural, and societal barriers is something that can resonate with anyone, no matter their background. This was reflected in the vast number of viewers who reached out, not only from religious communities, but also from non-religious ones. Whether someone identified as Christian, Muslim, Hindu, Jewish, or atheist, Keanu's message of compassion and unity was something that transcended these labels. It spoke to a deeper truth, that kindness is a fundamental human value that everyone can embrace. For those who had struggled with their own spirituality or had felt disconnected from organized religion, Keanu's openness was a refreshing and encouraging message. He spoke about his personal journey of exploring various religious philosophies and finding meaning in a way that resonated with his own experiences. Many viewers who were on their own spiritual journeys found comfort in knowing that Keanu, like them, had sought answers outside of traditional religious frameworks. His willingness to embrace a more inclusive view of faith, one that focuses on love and compassion regardless of specific beliefs, provided a sense of validation for those who had felt marginalized or misunderstood in their own spiritual quests. 1. Of the most striking aspects of Keanu's words was the sincerity with which he spoke. It wasn't just a surface-level statement about religion or kindness. It was a deep reflection on the values that had shaped his life. He wasn't trying to sell an idea or push a specific narrative. He was simply sharing the truths that had resonated with him over the years. The authenticity of his message was what made it so powerful. People could sense that Keanu wasn't speaking from a place of superficiality or performance. He was speaking from the heart, and that is what made his message so impactful. Keanu's openness also sparked conversations about the role of celebrities in shaping societal values. In a world where influencers, musicians, and actors often wield enormous influence, many viewers began to reflect on the power of public figures to lead by example. Keanu, by using his platform to speak about kindness, empathy, and love, reminded people that celebrities don't always have to be just entertainment vessels. They can also be sources of inspiration and positive change. His willingness to speak out on these issues challenged the stereotype that fame and wealth lead to a disconnected, self-absorbed lifestyle. Instead, Keanu showed that it's possible to be a globally recognized figure and still remain deeply rooted in the values of humility, service, and compassion. This openness also set a precedent for other celebrities to follow. In a time when many public figures remain tight-lipped about their personal beliefs, Keanu's words became a beacon of authenticity. His willingness to be vulnerable, to share his thoughts on spirituality and humanity, encouraged others to consider doing the same. It sparked a wave of reflection not only within the entertainment industry but also among individuals across the globe. It made people ask themselves how they could be more compassionate in their own lives, how they could make a positive impact on those around them, and how they could embrace kindness in a world that often feels divided. As the interview continued to reverberate across social media and the news, it became clear that Keanu's message had struck a chord with millions. His openness had sparked a global conversation about the importance of love, empathy, and giving back. It had reminded people from all walks of life that the power to make a difference in the world lies not in fame or fortune, but in how we treat one another. Keanu Reeves's words will continue to resonate for a long time, serving as a reminder that in a world that often feels fractured, the most important thing we can do is to be kind. His message was simple yet profound, and its impact was felt far beyond the confines of the interview. It became a call to action for all of us to embrace compassion, to treat each other with respect, and to give back, no matter who we are or where we come from.